Gonzaga now just 2 wins away from perfection. It would be the first team to run the table since the 1976 Indiana Hoosiers. The Zags came into the season number 1, and they have absolutely rolled through the regular season and through the NCAA tournament, with the latest one coming against Evan Mobley, the potential high lottery pick in the draft. Drew Timmy's been terrific in the tournament. Jalen Suggs has obviously been good. Corey Kispert making shots. This is the best team in the country right now. But again, will the pressure get to this Gonzaga team now that everybody's going to be talking about perfection and trying to win every single game this year, again, for the first time since the 1976 Indiana Hoosiers? When Scott Drew arrived in Waco back in 2003, nobody expected this. Nobody expected them to get to the Final Four and have a chance to win a national title. But Drew has done it several different ways. He got to a couple Elite Eights, lost to the eventual national title winners, but now he's got a team that's got everything. They've got a terrific backcourt, a couple of potential All-Americans in Jared Butler and Davion Mitchell. Also a couple transfers who have been terrific, guys that have one scholarship offer coming out of high school, and that was Maceo Teague and Adam Flagler. But Scott Drew, also a guy who took a lot from people saying he couldn't coach, now getting a lot of credit for what he can do. Put together a team, motivate, and coach. So the Baylor Bears are a team that looks to be Gonzaga's biggest threat to perfection. The Baylor Bears have just about everything and look like a completely different team now than they did about a month ago, coming back from that pause. So again, Scott Drew certainly has a chance to cut down the nets again here in Indy. Houston is a story about second chances. Kelvin Sampson run out of college basketball back in 2008 when he was a coach at Indiana for making impermissible phone calls. They also have a guy in Quentin Grimes who spent 1 season a McDonald's All-American at Kansas before he decided to transfer back closer to home. Kelvin Sampson, we all knew he could coach, but now he's a guy who's reinvented himself after having to spend about 6 years in the NBA as an assistant coach, also spending a year behind the bench, just learning from Greg Popovich. But now he's come back and he's done it the same way he always did it. He's been successful at Washington State, at Oklahoma, in his short stint at Indiana before being forced out, but he does it with toughness. And he's got a group that absolutely gets after it on the defensive end and on the glass. Their road hasn't been all that tough. They've beaten a bunch of double-digit seeds, but now they get a difficult task. They go against Baylor in an inter-Texas matchup to determine who gets the national title game. The UCLA Bruins, from the first 4 to the Final Four, just the second team in NCAA history to accomplish that feat, along with VCU back in 2011. But this UCLA team, they've done it differently. Mick Cronin lost Daishen Nix, one of his top signees, to the NBA's G League Ignite team before the season. Then he lost his best player, Chris Smith, just a couple weeks into the year with a season-ending injury. Somehow they persevered. They get through the first 4. They get through Michigan State. They end up beating Alabama, the number 2 seed, with a bunch of unbelievable shots. And then they end up locking down Michigan and holding them in check, one of the country's best offensive teams, to get to the Final Four. But Mick Cronin, the guy who was the 3rd choice when he was hired 2 years ago, behind Jamie Dixon and Rick Barnes. And a lot of people question whether Cronin was the right man for the job. Coming from the Midwest, a blue-collar guy, but he's done an incredible job and takes this UCLA team, again, that's decimated, that wasn't able to start early in the preseason because of state regulations due to COVID, and he takes them all the way to the Final Four as the Cinderella story.